Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about All the Places. All the Places is a Mexican comedy drama that tells the story of a pair of siblings named Gabriela and Fernando. The two haven't seen each other in 15 years, but reunite on the occasion of their father's funeral, and while things are initially intense and awkward, their fond memories of each other bring them back on better terms. As they reminisce about their childhoods, they discover a piece of paper they wrote as kids, which serves as a travel plan for the two to follow to get to Acapulco. The two decide to drop everything and travel there by motorcycle as adults so that they can finally fulfill their childhood dreams. This is about as simple of a story as it can possibly get, though there's definitely nothing wrong with that. It doesn't try to be anything more than an average family bonding story with some lighthearted humor, and while it doesn't always work, it does have its moments. The main characters aren't fleshed out very much, but they perform well enough. Gabriela is much more sassy and headstrong compared to her brother, so she does provide some dramatic flair to the story now and then, although it does tend to be exaggerated. The only other bit of character development I could get from her is that she used to be married to a rock climber, divorced, and has had a hard time falling back in love since. The movie does have somewhat of a love interest for her to expand on this later, but it's played out entirely for laughs, so it is disappointing that she doesn't grow much as a character beyond the established plot. The other main character, Fernando, is pretty much the opposite from Gabriela in terms of personality. Unlike her, he's more sarcastic and laid back, so he provides more of a comedic vibe for the pair to bounce off each other, which was funny at times. He is still a basic character in the end, although I felt he was the better depicted one of the two. His backstory involving what he'd been doing for the past 15 years and how it slowly revealed over time kept me on the hook to see what it would turn out to be, and he experiences a pivotal moment in the story related to this that tugs the heartstrings and makes his arc feel complete, which I appreciated. In general, though, the movie is much more about them as a pair of siblings than it is about them by themselves. The 15-year gap between them is what makes them so interesting as a pair, because it provides what feels like a lifetime of events for each of them to discover about the other. And I enjoyed seeing how their bond growed and deepened over the course of the story. They gradually discovered things about each other that range from being humorous, to shocking, to heartbreaking. Even though there is some sense of animosity between them, it doesn't take long for them to start bonding again as siblings and support each other through their hardships. But even though they do help each other, they're not always able to keep the peace, and this is another thing that makes the relationship fun to watch. It's the classic brother-sister dynamic where one bickers at the other and both try to get their way, which creates some amusing situations that the two have to overcome. However, a lot of this bickering tends to result in tonal shifts that feel odd with how they're timed in the story. For example, the pair argue about something coming up at Fernando's work that prevents him from completing the trip, and then a minute or so later, he sort of just ditches those plans and continues the trip as planned. There were a lot of moments where the characters argued with each other about something, only for it to get dropped and forgotten about, without much being resolved, addressed, or even acknowledged. Anytime something starts to get dramatically interesting, the movie does a 180 and switches to something else, which becomes frustrating after a while. In the same vein, the pacing of the trip tends to stop and start quite a bit. One moment they'll be on the road, and then they'll stop somewhere and be at that place for what feels like 10 minutes. For a movie whose story is supposed to center around a big road trip, it's weird to see so much of it take place away from the road. This being said, it is nice that the movie features a variety of events for the pair to engage in, aside from just being non-stop driving. They take part in dances, get caught up with hitchhikers, and order the entire menu for their hotel room service. Again, it's all very simple in scope, but it's great to see the two having fun nonetheless. There's a neat sense of nostalgia that's conveyed throughout the movie too. As the two progress about their trip, they share memories with each other about their parents and childhoods, and this adds more emotional weight and a sort of relatability factor to the story that helped me connect better to the characters. And with this being a road trip movie, it's natural to expect a variety of locations and scenery as well, of which the movie definitely delivers. Whether a scene is set in the Mexican countryside or in the middle of a bustling city, the environments look great and lend a positive energy to the story. The comedy does this to a degree as well, though for me it ended up being a mixed bag. A lot of it centers around slapstick that feels overly exaggerated, like with how the siblings get into big squabbles that turn physical, as well as oddball situations that are funny for a little while, but they go on for longer than necessary. An example of this is when Gabriela finally hooks up with another guy while on the trip. It starts off okay at first, and then it ventures into weird territory but still being fine, and then it just goes on forever with its awkwardness. It might come down to personal taste, but I just felt a lot of the comedy was too silly for me. Outside of the comedy, I found myself wondering about certain things regarding the siblings' animosity too. I don't remember the movie ever explaining the reason as to why they were separated from each other for so long, so despite some elements of their animosity having weight, there were other parts about it that left me scratching my head. In the end though, the story's central themes of responsibility and freedom remain mostly consistent. Both Gabrielle and Fernando feel chained to their conventions and desire to pursue something more meaningful with their lives, and it's heartwarming to see these two characters help each other come to this realization even if the sentiment isn't anything new. Overall, All the Places is an average dramedy that tells a simple story of self-discovery and family bonding, and does well enough for what it is. If you like dramedies that lean more toward the comedy side of things while still having a basic message behind them, you might enjoy checking this out. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but there is still some merit behind its presentation. One's way in life is rarely linear, and it's nice to watch a movie that shows all the places one can go if they have the courage to do so, even if the message behind it does lack any sort of novelty. What did you think about this movie? Did you like seeing the two siblings' relationship grow, or did you also find the comedy a bit too silly at times? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of All the Places. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part where next time I review the Korean crime drama, Unlocked. Bye bye!